This is Pro Series Off Topic.
Welcome back to Pro Series Off Topic. This is episode 35. This episode is going to be about the quote I posted this week. If you do not get on social media, it's at Eric Dillman Designs. And I started this new thing a couple weeks ago. On every Monday, I'm going to post a quote. It could be motivational. It could be a business quote. It could be a social media quote. And I've been such a quote person my whole life. I have quotes around my house. I have saved so many quotes on my camera roll and my saved folder and on Instagram. And I'm like, what am I doing with this? And I thought, let's just start each week with a quote, even if it's not helping anybody out there. It's at least helping me, and it's a quote that I like. And this week I had a lot of DMs come in about the quote I posted and how it resonated with them, and it's something that they needed to hear at this time. And it's about social media. I'll go into it. It's what it was. Social has everyone rushing their goals. Remember, comparison is the thief of joy. Focus on your own lane, own pace, own race. So, social media, I always speak about this. I have a love-hate relationship with social media. If it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't have the platform I have or this podcast or any of that stuff. So I'm very thankful for it. And I choose to continue to be on social media because I think it is a great platform for businesses and anybody trying to grow a podcast or any type of brand type of deal. And it's a free marketing tool too, unless you pay a social media manager or somebody for it. But for the most part, it is a free marketing tool. And it is very, very easy to get caught up in the social media world and how people are, how you look at your life and compare it to other people's lives. And it's just not fair. You hear this all the time. People are only posting the good, but that doesn't always help. Seeing the good, sometimes you're like, well, yeah, they might be showing the good, but that good does not match my good. And that's the problem with how we are going about this. And I always say, like, I would hate, social media kind of really came in when I was like in high school. So I can't even imagine fully growing up in like the 7th and 8th grade, or even the middle school era when you're really, really changing and being on social media, because kids are brutal and they're even more brutal on social media. So I can't even imagine people or kids nowadays growing up on social media, because I know how bad adults are on social media. Kids are even 10 times worse. It's a horrible thing. And social media could do so much bad to your mental health. And that was kind of the whole idea of why I wanted to post that. I myself go through those ups and downs in social media. You look at my analytics, you could tell where some months are really, really good and some months are really, really down. And you could blame social media for that because, they're changing the algorithm all the time. But if you look at any business in the world, the only successful businesses have to change with time. You look at any of these social media platforms that have failed, like Vine or MySpace, they failed to change as times change. And it's so easy to say, oh, I hate that Instagram updated this or they updated this. But if they didn't, where would we be at, 2 years down the road? Would Instagram still be here? Where would your brand be? And for me, I follow a lot of social media managers and content creators that are in talks with Instagram. And those who don't know, people that are brand experts or social media experts go to seminars with Meta, so Facebook and Instagram, and they kind of tell these people how they're changing their algorithm, why they're changing them. And their jobs with these managers, they come back and create content on what those changes are to teach people about them. Meta does come out with what changes they do, but not everybody's going to read that because it is a lot of information that it's boring, and a lot of this stuff you won't even tell that it's a change, but it's such a minute change within the app or the social media. You will never notice. It's just, you kind of skip over it. So following these social media managers is huge because they let you know what those changes are, and when they do change, when I see a post, I do share it. There's a lot of people that I follow. You can go on my social media. I've had a lot of them actually on the main Pro Series podcast, and we talk about the current state of the algorithm at that time. So if you do go back and listen to them, take it with a grain of salt, just because at that time that information was valid, but it might not be 100% valid now. But go and follow those accounts. I tag every single one of my guests on the actual podcast and the actual episode on social media. So go ahead, follow them. They have amazing tips and tricks. But with all those tips and tricks come, it's so easy to follow them, but sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I do follow them and I'm like 2 months in, I'm like, this hasn't changed anything. I'm looking at my engagement rate. I'm looking at my analytics. It is not doing anything. And you follow all the instructions. You're posting the minimum of 3 posts a week. It's just so hard to grow and you're not seeing anything. But my biggest tip, and I think the only tip that stays current no matter what, is consistency. And that's something that I have always practiced what I preached. I started out posting every single day when I had my social media. And that becomes tiring. But that's how you get big. Posting every day, getting in front of people. Some people might think that's annoying, but the people that are following you, they're following you for a reason. If you look at any of these TikTokers or just people on Instagram that are huge, they're posting every day and they're getting paid for it because they're getting these following. So think about that. But I started with 1 post a day, and then I was burning myself out, and I went to 1 post a week, and I saw the change in my algorithm after like a couple months, and then I changed to 2 posts a week, and then 3, and then 4. But that was all trial and error. Started doing the 2 posts after the 1 post, and I did it for a couple, like 6 months or so. I realized maybe I can take on 1 more post a week, because I knew if I start that third post a week, I could not go back to 2 posts a week. And one of the reasons on what I did to brand myself on social media, and it kind of forced me to make that 3rd post, was if you ever go to my social media, it's very strategically planned where the posts were lined up correctly. So the Pro Series were in a row, Pro Series Off Topic were in a row, and then my just random post was in a row. And my OCD, knowing if I skipped any of the 3 posts that week, my profile would look like crap. And I couldn't do that. And that not everybody's brain's going to work that way, but that's the way how I did it. And then recently went up to 4 posts with that Monday quote of the week. But staying consistent, as I said, the algorithm changes throughout the year. But if you stay consistent, it will all come back around. Just keep going. Social media is a very, very, very tough place, especially when you're trying to grow your business. But it is not business. Know that. It's just a marketing tool. Sometimes we think this is for anybody that's struggling on social media. Your social media followers, your social media likes, your social media engagement does not match the success of your business. And a lot of people perceive it that way. They look at a social media account and they're like, oh, that person only has 500 followers. They must not do well. That followers does not define business, doesn't define your success. So kind of take that out. And I know it's easier said than done. But to continue with making your mind, there's so many mental health issues when it comes to social media, and that to yourself and stressing over your followers and engagement is not necessary at all. Forget about that. It will all come within time. Just stay consistent and it will come. I promise. But you need to develop that plan. Figure out what you're comfortable with doing. I suggest 3 posts a week. If you can't do that, you at least need to be doing one. You need to be posting once. And then stories. Stories should never run out. You have 24 hours for our story. You better be posting every 24 hours. It sounds difficult, but think of stories as a very, very casual way to post. Post a picture of your dog. You could be a picture of, your food you're eating, something you just made, or something on TV. Stories are very casual. It doesn't have to be that polished, pretty picture you think that you need to be posting on social media. That was a whole other topic that I had on a different off-topic episode. But just remember that your followers and your likes and your engagement rate do not define your business. That's all I have this week for that topic. Going into Country Music Weekly, there's again no new music this week that I feel like I need to talk about. Week before Christmas, there's really no one really wanting to release, but we do have media base changes. We have a new number 1 this week, which breaking history. But let's start with number 5 this week with Dan and Shay, Save Me the Trouble. Number 4, George Burge with Mind on You. Number 3 this week, who was number 1 last week, Jelly Roll and Lainey Wilson with Save Me. Number 2 this week, Nate Smith with World on Fire. And the new number 1 from 5 last week is Morgan Wallen, Everything I Love. This is Morgan's 5th number 1 off of his latest album, which is insane. That's like Michael Jackson stuff, or Katy Perry stuff that, they broke the record on Billboard. But to me, I still am mind blown, and I will never let this down that he didn't win Album of the Year at CMAs. It makes no sense to me that someone that has 5 number 1s, his album didn't come out until March of this year. So from March to November, you're saying he had 4 number 1s on an album, which most artists could barely get 4 number 1 singles off of one album nowadays. And now we are in December, same year that his album came out, and he has his 5th number 1 single. That's insane. That doesn't happen nowadays. And the fact that he hasn't won any real big album, except for Billboard, and Billboard Awards, they do, in my opinion, matter the most because they actually take and not like the CMAs or ACMs when it's Academy or Association voted, which in my opinion, those award shows need to go. That's just a popularity contest that it's just so stupid that we are giving awards off of popularity nowadays and not by actual facts. But that's, again, I will always continue to talk about Morgan Wallen and this album. This album has broken so many records for country music and also crossover. He has brought in, I forget what the stats are on how many more people have listened to country music this year, but it's crazy with the Morgan Wallen, the Jelly Roll, and the Luke Combs impact in 2023 has really changed the whole landscape of country music and how people perceive country music outside of the genre. They're doing some amazing things. But that's all I have this week. Next week will be, maybe I'll throw in some of my favorite country Christmas songs. Who knows? But hope you enjoy this week, and I hope you learned something or maybe just felt more at peace with Instagram and social media through this episode. Struggling is perfectly normal, and everybody is struggling and has struggled or will struggle with social media. It's a continue up and down. But hopefully this helped you out. But hope you have a great rest of the day.